Good morning, everyone. Got my haircut. Got that one right there, right there. So how's everybody doing this Sunday morning? We are on our way down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have a menu. We're on our half-hour break. We're sitting here at the Loves in Cameron, Missouri. Throw my specs on. Make it a little bit easier to read. So we've got, for the unload spots, we've got, we're headed down to Tulsa today, and then a suburb called Bixby, Oklahoma. And then we go to Fort Smith. Let me straighten you guys out. Good grief, what a host I am. And then we go to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and then we go to Hot Springs, Arkansas. And then from there, on the reload, we go do the grocery list for the customer the same customers I go to up in Vancouver and Seattle. Now I go to their little customers. I become like an LTL, pick up a pallet here, pallet there, pallet here, a tank there, a tank there. So I can't give too much information. I can tell you where I'm going. Customer names I might not be able to. I don't know. Well, we'll just have to play it by ear, see what we can find, or see what we can see. But the first place on the reload, we're going to Camden, Arkansas. Then we go to Houston, Missouri. Then we go to Monett. I'm assuming that's how they pronounce it. It's M-O-N-E-T-T. There's only one N. So it's Monett, or it's Monett, Missouri. I'll just see how the locals pronunciate it. How about that one? And then from there we go back up to Tulsa. And then we go to Owasso, O-W-A-S-S-O, Owasso, Oklahoma. And then from there we go to Minneapolis, Kansas, which we've been to this location before. Been to the Houston, Missouri location before. And then from there we go to Lenexa, Kansas. Been to that one. That one's a postage stamp on the back side, on the wrong side. So that one's going to be probably the most challenging. Haven't been to these other places. So Camden, the only thing that makes Camden hard is it's an outside dock. It's a ramp that I back up to that's in their parking lot. The only question is, in order to come in correctly, there's a railroad bridge. And I'm not sure, when I was looking at Google Earth map or whatever, it showed that it should have been a 14-foot bridge. And it might be one of those where I get there and it's a game time decision. Because if I don't come in where I go underneath the bridge, it's immediately off to my right. Then I'm trying to flip a U-E or somehow get spun around, because if I come in the other way, then they'll be on my left, and I gotta get them on my passenger side, because their dock that I back up to a ramp is right along their business. I think it's Business 72 or something like that. That comes into the town of Camden. So could prove to be interesting. So that's the docket. So we have Tulsa, Oklahoma, Bixby, Oklahoma, Fort Smith, Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Then we go to Camden, Arkansas. Then we go to Houston, Missouri, Monett, Missouri, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Owasso, Oklahoma, Minneapolis, Kansas, and then Lenexa. And if everything goes right, we'll get that all picked up, brought back up to the Twin Cities, and then we'll get some more marching orders and get some more hook onto another load, maybe a Banks Outdoors where we do the hunting blinds or something. These are cabinets that I'm taking down. It's a woodworking cabinet shop that I'm hauling down to, or these places I'm going to. Sutherland. It's a like a Bongards. They're kind of like a Mills Fleet Farm, kind of sort of smaller version of it. You can go get landscaping block. You can pick up a gate for a corral. Might be able to pick up a 300-gallon galvanized tank. I mean, they're just I don't want to say small town because Tulsa's not a small town, but it's kind of one of those weird where you can probably get vet supplies there and stuff. At the same time, you can probably pick up a few other things. So it's like a crossover, Home Depot, Menards, Tractor Supply, all those different type of places that you value. So yeah, and they're not notoriously for small yards. So I was also instructed by them not to sit in their parking lot overnight. So we'll be getting to a Flying J today, and have nothing else. I'll get a shower tonight, or today when I get in there. So they were just saying that it's unfortunately the times that we live in the area that it's in is not known, or it's a they have a homeless population. And they just didn't figure that it would be safe for me to sit there overnight. So 4 miles up the road, I'll sit at the Flying J and take care of business there. So just that. But it's Sunday. We're working. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Sunday morning. Hopefully, if any of you guys are watching any of my reels, that you guys are enjoying those. You can certainly leave a comment in the reels, I believe. I know I have some people responding. So, yeah, it's just a little something that I like, the little 30-second, 1 minute little clip to send without having to do a whole production and stuff. So, that's kind of cool. All right, on that, God bless. Love you guys. Happy Sunday. I'll get back to you guys at somewhere down the road or when we get to the other end. Love you guys. I'm out. Good afternoon, good evening. We are done sitting here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Had to pay for parking. Check this out. Oh, my bad. Flip you guys around. Got to pay a ticket. Only because, well, quite frankly, I wasn't going to sit out in the back corner. Company reimburses me for my parking anyway. So, wasn't gonna fight for a parking spot in the back and then get your truck hit. No. We'll be out of here early in the morning. I had points on my card, so my points paid for it. So then my company reimbursed me. So I lose no money. So just that. So, but we made it down here. We're only about somewhere between 3.5, 4 miles from. Yeah, I'd say about almost 4 miles. So, something I wanted to share with you guys today. A little medical history on me. Back in 2000, if you guys all don't mind, it's kind of a testimony. My wife and I were at church this last weekend, and I felt a little conviction in my spirit. So as far as when something, okay, first off, I'm believing most of my subs and most everybody that's viewing this channel already knows that I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed of it, just that. So, but I'd like to share a little bit of testimony, if y'all don't mind, real quick, and it's strictly to encourage somebody that might be going through some medical or whatever you might be going through. In my own case, and the conviction that I sensed was when Pastor was talking about this thing with his son. Something positive or something good happens to us, and then we don't share it. We don't expound on it. We don't share the good news. So that's kind of what convicted me, because I really don't share my health testimony as often as I probably should. What happened is back in 2008, I believe it was, February of 2008. Well, backtrack a little bit. My wife and I remarried in September of 07. In February of 08, I had what ended up being my left lung collapsed. But it was a process of a couple of days, because what happened is the same thing that took my grandfather. Both my grandfather was in his early 40s. My dad was 40, I do believe 44 when he passed. And I believe my age was somewhere around 42. So all three of us were the youngest of our prospective families. My grandfather with his family, my dad with his family, and then me with my family. We were all the babies, so-called babies of the family. So long and short, to make this not too long, and anybody could ask questions in the comments down below, that's fine. But both what happened to my grandfather and my father took their lives, and with me it did not. I was blessed and fortunate enough that I had they figure somewhere between 7 and no more than 8 blood clots that exploded in my left lung cavity. In my dad's case, it was in his heart, and it separated the main artery, and he bled internally. My grandfather, I'm not exactly sure, because not many people were alive to give me the lineage of my grandfather. But yeah, so long short, I had somewhere between 7 and 8 blood clots that exploded in my left lung cavity. Well, our bodies produce an antibiotic when something traumatic happens inside of our bodies, the way the doctor explained it to me. Well, because there was such an explosion, it went into hyperdrive and produced too much antibiotics. So every time I would breathe, figure yourself in sand, and every time you move, you lose ground. You breathe, you inhale, exhale, you're losing expansion, because every time you go to re-expand, sand fills in and you can't breathe. Well, that's essentially what happened to my left lung, and I ended up having it ended up being, I was admitted, I was in ICU for, I believe it was 25 days out of the month of February in 08. So I was in 2 different hospitals in the Twin Cities. I had 1 ambulance ride, 1 procedure in the emergency room, and 2 surgeries. So, because he had to go back into my left lung cavity, because the fluid that produced a staph infection inside my lung cavity, so he had to go in a second time and scrape my left lung. Theoretically, I shouldn't be here to talk to you guys today, and I'm very humble and very grateful. Try not to lose it. I believe we're all saved for a purpose. What that purpose is, it's for us to try to figure out and pray about. And so, but yeah, my wife and I just remarried and spent the entire month of February for her birthday in ICU, and it was it's hard to explain, because I was completely at peace with what was going on, because I was in it. So, to say the least, I got 4 chest tube holes, scars, where I had 4 chest tubes hanging out my left chest. Plus, I got a railroad track where he had to go in twice and scrape my left lung cavity for my lung to re-expand correctly. And so it was kind of funny. The nurses were looking at me really funny and stupid, because they'd never seen anybody walk around, because they also made me walk around with my butt hanging out my apron. I thought that's what they were staring at and laughing. It's like, yeah, whatever. They'd never seen anybody walk around with 4 chest tube bags hanging on one of those trees or whatever that you walk around with. So yeah, so we've recovered from that in February of 2008, and a year later, 1 year later, as a matter of fact, I go through trucking, because the commercial world where I was at in construction dried up and went away. So yeah, so a little history on me. So I had somewhere between 7 and 8 blood clots, collapsed my left lung, spent 25 days out of the month of February in ICU at 2 different hospitals, 1 ambulance ride, 1 procedure, and 2 surgeries later. And I'm supposed to be on blood thinners, and praise God, I don't have to be. I have absolutely, the doctors are just, this is where the testimony comes in, not only to get me through that, but there's absolutely, other than my scars that I wear, was there ever any evidence that there was anything wrong with me? Everything is healed completely. So like Jesus, I get to have the scars to show my evidence. And on that, my friends, we're going to roll the night up. We got dinner cooking in the crock pot as usual. So if you want to come along and you want more stories or testimonies. This isn't a story, it's a true event. I'm more than willing to share. I was hesitant today because, well, it's kind of personal what you go through, but hopefully it helps somebody, it encourages someone. I don't presume to know everything that the Lord does for any of His children. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it. How one person can receive healing and the next person right next to them cannot. I don't presume to know the answer. I just know God is good and He's faithful. And He's faithful to all of us. To those, yeah. So, on that, my friends, I want to just roll the night up. We're going to call it a day. We're going to make our delivery in the morning. We'll see if we can video it or not. Get a little vlog with it. We'll just go from there. As always, guys, I love you. And the Lord willing, I'll see you guys tomorrow.